Zelda?
Cinco.
5 ways Horizon is better than Zelda. I got my trusty list right here. And,
it's not demands. It's not demands.
It's not demands. Although I know all you people love those demands. Thank you for the 10K views. Anyway, number 5, the villains. And specifically, I'm not talking about like main villains. I'm talking about, well, some of them are main villains. Horizon Zero Dawn has these really intricately stylized robotic dinosaurs and beasts in this game. And they look like they're alive in a way, like Cybernet has taken over, and these beasts are actually on the prowl and killing you, and they are difficult to get to. You need to figure out what their weaknesses are and figure out exactly what type of weapons that you are carrying will work best against that weakness. So that's as you can see on the screen there behind us, you see some of those beasts. They're really, really original in many ways with that sci-fi robotic twist to them, and as you can see, it's very primal in its essence as well. So I'm really digging these villains. That was number 5. Number 4, graphic stability. I have not seen this game stutter very much in terms of frame rate. It doesn't dip almost whatsoever. Right. And while playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, I am aware that the Switch version and also the Nintendo Wii U version have frame rate stutters, and I have experienced that while I'm playing, where suddenly it'll look like it's stuttering, like kind of in a way going in slow motion sort of. And so I have experienced that while playing the game, and so that's one minor little detraction. It doesn't really affect gameplay too much, but it is one way in which Horizon Zero Dawn is better than Zelda. It's just a little bit more polished.
Is that an issue on the game side or on the performance of the console side?
I think it's both, because the game should be coded to the software, to the hardware. You know, it should be able to run on the hardware in a acceptable manner. And yeah, when Zelda dips to 20 frames per second, I'm one of those guys where it's acceptable as long as it doesn't happen all the time.
Well, they were saying that it's probably an issue with Wi-Fi. They're trying to address that in a patch, so they already aware of that frame drop, and they're probably going to fix it.
Right. So I'm sure it's something that a patch can fix. But as of right now, as of the moment that we're speaking about this, that's one of the things that Horizon has over Zelda. It has better graphic stability. Number 3.
I think we need like a countdown, like a 3.
Now, I did mention I haven't beaten either one of these games yet, but so far, the game that I'm most hooked into is Horizon Zero Dawn. And the reason and what I think is superior about this so far is the storyline. It has a type of storyline that we haven't seen in video games before, at least that I personally haven't seen, with the types of twists that this game has. We all know the story of Legend of Zelda. Of course, each one of the games has a very good storyline. It has each one has its own twist to that story, but nevertheless, we all know what it basically is. Link versus Ganon to save the princess. Zelda. You know, and that's the base at its core. That's what the plot of that game is. In this one, it's this girl. She's part of a tribe she was shunned from, and she goes out to explore why these machines are suddenly such a great threat to humankind in her world. And she is discovering little by little through this adventure what exactly is happening, what's going on, and she comes to get to know some of these other people from different tribes, and kind of in a way gathering clues little by little as everything's going on around her. So storyline is number 3. Number 2, weapons. Weapons. She has a bow and arrow. Link has a bow and arrow. She has a spear. Link uses spears also. But one annoying thing about Breath of the Wild is that the weapons are
They break.
destructible. Yeah, you can only use each weapon a certain amount of times.
That's
before
been
it
happening
breaks.
since Skyward Sword.
And yeah, I get it, but give me a little bit more life in each weapon. After a few hits,
Question.
let me say this: you're in a battle, right? And you're into it, and after just a few hits, like boom, your weapon breaks. Yes, you pause, and yes, you get into your menu and load another weapon. You have plenty of space for more weapons, which is fine. They give you that option, but it kind of breaks the flow of the combat gameplay.
Let me play devil's
Legend of
advocate
Zelda.
on this,
So-
and I will tell you why
Yeah,
I think it's a
go
good
ahead.
idea. That's because if you have this huge world,
Mhm.
and like you're saying, you're compelled to explore it
Mhm.
or to go on your way. So if your weapons start breaking, what do? You look for more. You try to find more. And this game that used to be point A to point B, it's all of a sudden immersive. And you're forced to gather the items and weapons you need in order to proceed. So
Yeah.
I think that's why it's a good thing.
And that's exactly the preconception I had going into this game. It's like, oh, weapons break. I hear a lot of people complaining about weapons breaking. It's not a big deal. But once I actually started playing it, it wasn't a big deal at first. But after you get into like your 20th battle and you know more or less how to fight, what to do, then it just gets to the point where it's like it breaks that flow. And to me, that's very annoying when you break the flow of some combat.
Well, I think that's kind of piggybacking on what
Mhm.
Pancho just said. Most games, more of the MMO, the RPG type, where you have to build your character from the ground up. Excuse me. That's more of that style. They're going more for that realism of your all these little specs, all these little details that.
Wait, are you
your
talking
set-
about Horizon or about Zelda?
the weapon
Zelda.
breaking? That's
with
basically
more realism.
That's basically kind of what they're going for, is that you have to learn how to use your weapons.
The more you use them, the more time for them to break it has, is what I read.
Yeah.
So the more skill you gather,
So-
the more.
So essentially, I mean,
That's for certain weapons. Once you get farther
essentially
into the game.
the way that it is when you use a weapon, it gets weaker. So
Right.
in most games, you have to reforge them, go to a blacksmith, fix it up, sharpen it, something like that, right?
Horizon Zero Dawn does have similar systems in place as well, where you have to tinker a lot with your weapons, but it's done in such a way to where you do all the tinkering before matches, I guess you could say.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. So
before you're going to go into a zone where there's certain types of beasts that prowl, and you know more or less like, okay, I have this at my disposal. And so yes, you do run out of arrows, you do run out of certain abilities once you use them up, because you are limited also in Horizon Zero Dawn. But the system that they put in place for it doesn't break the combat flow as much as Legend of Zelda does.
Well,
It's
it
a
just
lot-
sounds like
it's a
it's-
lot more polished. It's a lot smoother.
it sounds like it's just preparing you for, okay, in this segment, you're gonna need this.
Yeah.
So take this
and,
only.
And in Zelda, one of the cool things about it is that those types of things are a lot more spontaneous.
I think that also, I want to believe that once you find the Master Sword, you don't have that problem anymore.
Right. So we'll see. That remains to be seen. But I'm seeing so far
Speaking of
in
another,
my gameplay is just it started off as not being such a big deal, but once you get into so many battles, it's like, come on, let's just get this through, get through it. You know.
a little side note. I haven't seen any particular videos. I've just seen little thumbnails of how to find the Master Sword.
Right.
A whole bunch of different little YouTube
no,
videos.
dude, no,
Yeah,
don't
and
do
I don't even want to
yourself.
ruin it, because a lot of that stuff is just kind of like breaking.
But see, but that's-
and
but that's
imagine,
what I mean.
Imagine you never find it.
I've been playing Breath of the Wild for about 5 hours or so, and the other night I was watching a speed run of it. People are doing speed runs where they can beat the game already in like under 50 minutes, I believe. and
Dang.
from big, just the main quest storyline. And I saw this guy do in 25 minutes what took me 5 hours to do.
Well, that's
I mean, but yeah, he didn't explore all the stuff I explored and do all that. He already obviously knew how to do all that stuff, but it was really interesting. Really interesting. There's a lot of options with this game. So yeah, that was number 2, the weapons. Number 1.
Oh no.
Number 1, the most important one to me anyway, is originality. We know that Legend of Zelda is one of our most revered franchises, one of the best franchises of all time. However, as we kind of touched upon it before, it's kind of it's just kind of like at the core of it, it's the same story: good versus evil, Link versus Ganon, save the Princess Zelda. That's and this game, Horizon Zero Dawn, we have a little bit more to it, more to chew off of the bone, something different. Where if Zelda Breath of the Wild is a Thanksgiving dinner, this is more like a Christmas dinner. Like where it's similar in certain ways, but new in other ways as well. And so in terms of originality, I think this one takes the cake. We have a completely new protagonist. It's the first game in what's most likely going to be a brand new franchise that's going to be alive for many years to come. And I'm loving what Horizon Zero Dawn is doing. It's very original in terms of its characters, in terms of its world, in terms of the style. They're going for a primal a feeling in this game where it feels like everything's like back to caveman times. However, you juxtapose that with all this technology and this sci-fi into it, and it just works so well, and it blends in so excellent, and visually it's just an amazing game in its own right. And Breath of the Wild visually also holds up against this, because it's more of an anime style.
Yeah,
cell shading.
Style
it's a cell shading style. And I think in the long run, when we look back at these games 10 years from now, we're going to see probably that Legend of Zelda looks better aesthetically. Because it's that cartoon style, kind of like what we saw with Wind Waker.
Right.
Everybody didn't exactly like it at first, but 10 years later, we're like, wow, that's a really good one. So I like that. I like that about this game. It's an excellent game, and both games are excellent games. But in terms of these aspects that I just spoke about, these top 5 aspects, I think Horizon Zero Dawn is better than Legend of Zelda.
Ooh.
And next week, I'll have a top 5 of why Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, 5 ways in which it is better than Horizon Zero Dawn. So it's gonna come back also. It's gonna come back. So stay tuned for next week's episode.
It's a good list.
Yeah.
It's very. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Also visit us at daddysgametime.com, or you can check us out at Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, all at keyword Daddy's Game Time.
Don't forget our t-shirts and merchandise at daddysgametime.com/merchandise, where you can find designs inspired by pop culture, movies, and video games, designed by Leo and yours truly.
All your support is appreciated.